On the special session, we're joined by the Deputy Senate Majority Leader, Mike Gianaris. Great to see you as always.
Thank you, Susan.
So the two big issues are the eviction moratorium and the emergency rent relief program. And starting with the moratorium, what's the fix that you think might bring the moratorium in line with the Supreme Court's ruling?
Well, first of all, the moratorium we had in place in New York expires tonight, and so we needed to do something to keep that going, especially given that the emergency rent money has not been going out the door the way it should. So first of all, we're extending it to mid-January, but then we do have to make that fix to comply with the Supreme Court's recent decision. They effectively said that we couldn't allow tenants to self-attest that they were under hardship without giving an opportunity for someone to challenge that claim. And so we are going to make a fix that allows landlords who have reason to believe a tenant is not being truthful about their hardship to present evidence that they, in fact, are not under a hardship. And that way, we would be providing that process the Supreme Court said was required.
There were some people who wanted, like Vocal New York, wanted the moratorium to be extended through the next summer. What were the pros and cons of that? What do you think about that?
Well, one of the big reasons we needed to extend the moratorium in the first place was because the ERAT money, the emergency rent money, did not move out the door under Andrew Cuomo's administration. We were the last state in the entire nation moving that money to people who needed the help. And so we didn't think it was fair to allow the moratorium to expire when there were people in need who hadn't been getting the assistance that was promised to them. So that's why we needed to get it going. In terms of how long we need it to move, we thought, let's get through this year, certainly. Let's get it to the point where we're back in regular session, which we will be by mid-January, so we can reevaluate it. And if we need to do something further at that point, we'll be in Albany every week ready to do what we need to do.
You mentioned the emergency rent relief program. This is a $2.7 billion program that is funded largely by federal dollars. The money has been very slow getting out the door. Do you know why?
I can only assume that, like so many programs over the last couple of months, the Cuomo administration was so distracted with and so paralyzed by his scandals that they just weren't moving in the direction they needed to go. Another example is the New York HERO Act, which I was proud to offer in the Senate. We couldn't get the Department of Health to certify that we're in a pandemic. Everybody knows we're in a pandemic. It's a historically bad situation that we're dealing with, and yet our Department of Health under Commissioner Zucker couldn't tell everyone that, yes, in fact, we're in a pandemic. That would allow the workplace safety regulations to kick in that the Department of Labor has already tentatively prepared. We're now imposing on Governor Hochul to have the Department of Health make that certification so we can start moving on it. The Excluded Workers Fund is another one. So the regulations were so onerous, very few people were able to qualify at first. So there were a whole host of things we got done this year to help people through the pandemic that weren't being implemented properly because of the scandals, because of the distractions that the previous governor was facing. And hopefully now we're beyond that and moving in the right direction.
So, Senator, what else should be addressed what would you like to see addressed in the session other than these two issues?
Well, it's my understanding that we are going to focus almost exclusively on housing-related issues for the special session. It is a special session at the call of the governor, so she gets to exclusively identify what we're taking up tomorrow when we return. There's other things we certainly need to get done. There are a number of appointments, including on the cannabis question. We're waiting for the proper appointments to be submitted to us so we can confirm them and begin that process going forward. There are a number of other confirmations that are also pending. We have needs that transcend a lot of what we do, but for the purposes of tomorrow, we'll be focusing exclusively on the housing situation and COVID relief as it relates to that because of the fact that the moratorium was expiring and we had that recent Supreme Court decision.
That's right. We have about a minute, and I'm wondering, you mentioned that the Cuomo administration was distracted, and that's why it couldn't get some of this money out the door. But at the beginning of the pandemic, Senator, there was also a backlog when it came to getting unemployment out the door. So it wasn't always because of the distractions by the different investigations into the governor, was it?
Yeah, that's a fair point. That was something that I believe every legislator in the entire state was dealing with almost predominantly at the beginning of the pandemic. It was such a bad situation. Look, the administration of all of these programs just were floundering, and sometimes I think it was ideological, where our previous governor was more interested in preventing fraud than actually helping people who needed help at a desperate historical moment. But I think at the end it was a combination of that, as well as they were just paralyzed. I mean, there was nothing happening at the end. And anything they tried to make happen floundered, like their attempts to restructure the entire MTA at the last minute of session, which we wisely rejected in the Senate. And again, thankfully, that's behind us now. Andrew Cuomo will hopefully still be held accountable through a number of procedures that are ongoing, but we have work to do to get the state moving in the right direction.
Again, tomorrow's special session, we've been speaking with Deputy Senate Majority Leader Mike Gianaris. Always good to talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks so much.